Hello everyone, it's Chinzio from the Personal Philosophy Project, a place where I talk about all things personal finance, productivity and personal development from the perspective of a normal, non-multi-millionaire, self-employed person who's just trying to figure everything out still. If you're interested in realistic and relatable topics about these kinds of things, then please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell, because I'm here for you every week, and actually I'm here for you every day because right now it's Vlogmas. And if you're one of my lovely regulars, hi, how are you? Please consider liking this video and joining in the comment section down below because I love hearing from you and talking with you. It actually makes my day. So if you are someone who's been following my no-buy year for the past 2 years, or if you're brand new, let me just give a lowdown. This is going to be all about how to set up your own no-buy year from the perspective of someone who's now going on to their third no-buy year. So these are the tips and the tricks that I would tell you about. If you are new to the concept of a no-buy year, I have a playlist dedicated to all the videos, so you can go through everything I discuss and look at my journey on there. But if you're all caught up with that, let's talk about the tips that I would advise you if you're considering starting a no-buy year. So the first one is obviously the most important one, but it's to analyze your spending and also identify essential items and differentiate them from non-essential items. So when you go into a no-buy year, you're going to have a list of things that you can buy. These are your essentials, and this is going to be versus everything that you can't buy. And the easiest way to differentiate your essentials and also to ban yourself from certain shops and certain sites is to analyze where you're spending the most. So for me, before I went on my no-buy year, most of my money went on books. Quelle surprise, I know. Another place where I spent a lot of money was on clothing because I loved buying clothing. Don't get me started about my wardrobe, seriously. So when I went into no-buy year, books and clothes were the hard no-go areas. They were definitely on my list because I knew I was overspending in these areas. And then little areas where I was casually, unconsciously spending money, such as going out for coffees with my friends, etc. Or just randomly going to a theatre and buying a ticket for the theatre but not considering how many theatre trips I may have gone in a year, not taking these things into consideration. So look at ways that you most spend your money, and that is where you need to then identify what you do need to spend your money on and what you don't need to spend your money on. And when I say do and don't, we're talking about survival here. Things that you know you need on a daily basis. Toothpaste, shampoo, if you use shampoo, cleaning products, certain cleaning products. Can you narrow these down? You'll find out in your no-buy year. Dog food, pet food, whatever you have food. Your food, for example. These are the essentials, and then your non-essentials are things that you like to treat yourself to, maybe a bit more often. When you make these lists, you'll actually get a great insight into where you're actually potentially overspending, that you know secretly, but you haven't really come out like, I knew I bought a lot of books. How many books I bought, I was in denial of until I catalogued my books this year and like, wow! The next step is really easy, and that is therefore to write your rules lists. Now I have 2 videos on my rules. For the first year I did no-buy year, the second no-buy year, and I will be doing a third rules list on this channel for my third year of no-buy, which will be during my Vlogmas. So make sure you're subscribed and there's a little notification bell so you know when it comes out. But again, your rules list should really primarily focus on the things that you can buy, and this also refers to limits. So for example, I used to go out for endless coffees with my friends. If a friend wanted to see me on Friday or Thursday or Saturday, I would go to all 3. Whereas when my no-buy list came out, I couldn't buy coffee alone, so I wasn't allowed to buy coffee. I would have to be with a friend, and I was only allowed to go 1 time a week at maximum. In fact, I think in first year it was 1 time a month, and then I could put it down to 1 time a week, but then this year it was 1 time every 4 months. But yeah, so narrow things down, so ban certain things like how much you eat out. You can either never eat out during your no-buy year, or you can eat out once a month, which is like I do. So look at where you're spending, where you're going to give slight allowances, and where you're going to cut the rope and say no, no books, no clothes, no makeup, etc. The next one is to ban certain websites and block them from your browsers. Your phone, your laptop, your iPad, whatever you use, your computer, block them. And also the websites where you may not buy from, but you may be tempted to spend a lot of time browsing on. So for example, for me, the websites that I block are Waterstones, Book Depository, Oxfam Books. Don't get me started on Oxfam Books. Very Wormhole. Depop could be another one. Etsy. You could be tempted down the Etsy aisle. Now, obviously these blockages aren't forever. That sounds like a plug has got stuck. Basically, your blocking is obviously within the hours that you're most vulnerable. So for me, I block these sites between all day, every day. And you can do this through particular apps. So I use one called Block Site, and you can pick which sites are blocked for forever. You can't go on them no matter what, and there are certain ones that you're scheduled at. So for me, certain sites will be blocked forever. You can always unblock them if you really need to buy someone a birthday present from a particular site, or buy someone a card or something. You know, you don't have to block them forever, but they're blockings that you know that there's a degree of delay where you have to reflect and go, actually, I'm about to go on this website. Should I really be going on this website? You know the ones that you go on. Block them. In a similar vein, another step to do during your no-buy year is to
Strictly from dancing.
My partner's mother just released an Alexa announcement during my filming. And she just does it to wind people up. As I was saying, the next step is to unfollow anyone on Instagram who may tempt you into spending more money. So there are several people that I follow on Instagram whose fashion is divine, and you know, now I'm in my second year of no buy, going into my third. I'm okay knowing that I'm not going to visit those websites, but in your first year it's so easy to be like, oh, let me just see that web, oh, it's not that expensive, I just clicked on this item on that outfit. Things like that. You need to unfollow them in your first year until you get into a rhythm of not buying it, not falling for the adverts, and just appreciating really nice outfits that could be inspirational for you to then employ in your own wardrobe within your own realm. But in the first year, unfollow people who tempt you to buy things, and also unfollow companies which may prompt you to buy things. So such as stationery Instagrams that you may follow, or you know, little companies like book companies or publishers that you may follow. Unfollow them for the year. You can keep a list of all of them that you're unfollowing, so you can then re-follow them in the future if you really must. But if you know that you're going to be tempted into buying from them, then unfollow them now. The next step is to tell people in your life that you are on a no-buy year, share your rules with them, and explain how this may affect your relationships with them. So when I went on my no-buy year, I told my partner that I didn't want to go out to eat at all. Like, I wouldn't want to have casual lunches, they were all banned, but I was allowed to go out to eat once a month. And my partner said that's fine. They didn't mind saving some money in that realm either. And hey, cooking from home is also a date that you can do, so it's not the end of the world. I also told my friends that I couldn't attend particular parties because those parties required money. And I missed out on quite a few parties, but I still bought my friends gifts. I still celebrated it in my own little way and took them out for a coffee, because again, I could take people out for coffee. That was in my rules, but I couldn't afford to go out for a party. And thankfully I have really nice friends, and all of them appreciated that I told them that, and they all agreed to that, they weren't offended. Then yeah, if being with your friends on their birthdays and going to their parties is really important to you, then put that on your allowed list. Each to their own. It's a personal philosophy project here, make it personal to you. The next one's really important because people have asked if they should do this, and my answer is no, don't do this. Don't stockpile and bulk up ready for next year. If you're planning on a no-buy year, don't stock up now and spend loads of money preparing yourself for next year. That's not the point of it. It totally undermines the point of it, because you're going to panic buy if you stock up, and you don't need to stock up, because anything that you need in stock is something that's going to be allowed on your allow list. It's not going to be on your no-buy list. It's not like you need to buy a year's supply of toilet roll, a year's supply of toothpaste, a year's supply of shampoo, a year's supply of body wash. So don't waste your money stocking up in advance, and don't then go on a massive clothing spending spree or a book spending spree just because you can't buy any clothes next year. That's the whole point of this. Is not to spend your money in a panic stage. This is a good training, don't stock up. And next one is really great to get into the habit of, is setting up a spreadsheet of all of your expenses as you go along, either on a spreadsheet or in your bullet journal. So as you go along in your month, every time you spend some money, jot it down. I find it easier to do this by hand because I'm lazier when it comes to the spreadsheets on the computer, and I end up having a stack of receipts for my business expenses just sitting there looking at me going, put me in your spreadsheet. So every month I do a tracker spreadsheet on my page in my bullet journal, and just every time I go to the grocery shops or every time I have to buy a Christmas gift, it goes on the list and I mark it, categorize it, and then at the end of the month I total it and I see my opening balance, my closing balance of both my current account and my savings account. It's just really helpful to get into the habit of, particularly on your no-buy year, if your first just ever starting out, it's also important to see what things you may be actually unconsciously spending on and actually holding yourself accountable to when you do spend on something that you told yourself you weren't going to spend on. Because you can see the money there and you can see how much you saved and you can see how much you could have saved by looking at your balance at the end of every month. It's really great to keep in contact with your money on a regular basis. The next one is to change your mindset about the concept of no buy. People see no buy as a punishment, when in reality, change the concept. It is a no buy year, but actually see it more as use what you have already year. So rather than looking at yourself as denying yourself something, look at yourself as being efficient and practical about something else. So rather than seeing yourself as denying yourself from shopping, see yourself as actually using everything you have to its fullest potential. So if you have a lot of makeup and you think, oh my god, I can't buy any more makeup for a whole year, that's going to be torture. Look at it as more of a challenge to use everything you have in terms of makeup and see how much you get through. So see that as your challenge rather than denying yourself the opportunity to buy more makeup. So this mindset really helps you because it challenges you to not look at this as a negative but as a positive, and also it helps you look at what your numbers are. So I remember in my first year of no buy, I said that I couldn't buy any new skin products or anything like that until I used it up. I went through the whole no buy year with the exact same makeup that I had at the beginning of the no buy year. I know you're meant to change your makeup more regularly, but I've used makeup for at least over a year and it's fine. In fact, it was really rewarding to finish a product when I finally did, like when I used up one of my skincare and I was like, yes, I can buy a new one. I can't believe I finally used it all up. It's kind of like a weird celebration of actually using what you have at your disposal and also putting new outfits together that you have at your disposal. It's great. The next one I would recommend in your first year is to not go into the shops at all that you don't need to shop from. So go into the supermarkets, go into the drugstore if you must to buy your little essentials, but don't go wandering around Topshop or New Look or a bookshop when you don't need to be there. It's just something that's going to be tempting you, it's going to make you feel like you're FOMO. Find new ways to spend your free time. There are so many more interesting things out there to do in your spare time. You'll find like giving up shopping actually frees up your diary so much more and you can explore so many creative ways to spend your time other than browsing online or going to the shops at the weekend. And the final very cheesy one is genuinely to have fun. Like I said, look at this as a positive thing of using up everything you have, like a cool challenge, than negating, oh, I'm punishing myself for a year and I'm not allowed to engage in anything fun. Like, see it as a cool thing. It's really not as scary as it looks, and honestly after the first month it becomes genuinely really easy. Like the first month you're very conscious that you're not spending your money, you're very conscious, let the giant bumblebee go by. So yeah, in the first month you're genuinely very conscious that you're not doing things you normally would, you're not spending your Saturdays walking to town like you normally would and going into the shops, and then after that you found more interesting stuff to do anyway, so you don't really want to do that, and then it just becomes second nature. It genuinely does become second nature after the first month. I didn't notice a difference, but my bank balance did. And it's amazing how much money I saved at the first year and thought, man, if I'd done this 5 years ago, I would have been ahead of the game so much more than I had been at the age of 29 now. I'm catching up on what I could have had access to many years ago. So yes, I hope this video helped for anyone who is looking to start a no buy year. If you have any questions or further details that you'd like me to elaborate on, please leave those in the comments down below, and you can check out my playlist for looking at my rules list, looking at how I did, etc. If there are any more no buy year videos that you'd like me to talk about or make, please let me know, and I'm so grateful that you're watching. Thank you for everyone who is following my Vlogmas, and I will see you tomorrow for another video. And remember, books save lives, so keep reading.